So you would want to meet Ernest Hemingway on Bimini in like what, the 40s?
Yeah,
the
well,
50s?
he discovered it in 35, so like the
35, in
late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to meet him in the late 30s at Bimini.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I
That's
agree.
oddly specific.
Hello, I'm Amy.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Set Jetting Sisters, where we break down the movies and shows you love and highlight the extraordinary places they were filmed. We're here to give you the inside scoop on where to go for a location vacation.
All right, so this week we are going to be talking about Midnight in Paris by Woody Allen, made in 2011. Amy, what do you love about Midnight in Paris?
Well, first of all, I fell in love with this movie because the star of the movie, spoiler alert, is Paris.
Paris.
Absolutely.
Bonjour,
I mean,
Paris.
you get a little like magical, time travel, which we love. We love time travel. We love the 20s. We love literature. I mean, all of that stuff is sprinkled in, but like, let's be real. Like the movie is we rewatch it and we love it and it's dear to our hearts because of Paris. There is so much Paris in this movie.
There is so much Paris in this movie. I really like that
Mm-hmm.
time period. And so this is kind of pushing all of my nostalgia buttons, which is what the movie is about.
Which, of course, I know. I feel like this too. I mean, are there people? I guess there are. There have to be people because people aren't the same. But like that don't feel nostalgic for the past and things like that. But I'm like, I guess I feel like I identify with Gil Pinder some.
Yeah, I identify with Gil 100%. Yes. And I think there are people, and I'm usually not like great friends with them.
True confessions.
I think people who don't feel nostalgic for the past and love history and that kind of thing, I'm not kindred spirits with them.
Like
I can get along with them fine.
Friends, but you're not going to be
but we're not kindred spirits. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay, so at the end of this, I want to know what time period you would travel back to. But we'll get there at the end.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So I'll let you think about it for a second.
Okay, so we're going to open with a montage of Paris. What are we seeing?
I mean, I think it's the greatest 3 minutes. If I could put this on a loop and just have it in the background when I'm like doing work and things, I think I'd be like perfectly fine.
That's what I'm exactly the same way. I thought the exact same thing. I could just sit here and watch this over and over again.
Did you find what's the music? Did you find that out?
The music is Si tu vois ma mère by Sidney Beckett.
Okay, so I mean it's like all of Paris that he captures. But there are a few things that I really wanted to highlight. And of course, the first is just the first opening shot.
Yes.
Where you have the Pont de Alexander III.
Yes.
With the Eiffel Tower in the background. Okay, so that's like a fantastic shot, right? So fun facts. There are 37 bridges in Paris. So I think that's probably like a generous, like, what are the
over
parameters?
The Seine, right?
Yeah, over the Seine. Left bank, right bank. So if you're facing west, which is the Seine flows from, like, it flows northwest to the city. So they're facing west towards the ocean. The bank on your right is sometimes the north, but that's the right bank.
Yes.
And then the left bank, of course, is to your left. Like, I always sort of wondered that because I was like, if you're facing the other direction.
Well, yeah, because then it switches.
Course it switches.
So, yeah, how do
but I
they
guess
distinguish?
if you got to go with the flow, before we have great use of power motors and things like that.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess whoever, it was just kind of established, you look towards the direction and that it's flowing towards the ocean. So I don't know. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Okay,
because I have wondered that before, but never bothered.
Like,
to
why
figure
are
it
they
out.
the right bank and left bank?
Yeah.
And then they both have their own little unique, like personalities.
Yeah, yeah.
Katie, which one do you think you identify with more? Are you more right bank or left bank?
I am both. I'm going to claim both.
Oh. You are so diverse.
I'm so divergent.
You are Divergent.
What are you, Amy? Are you a left bank or a right bank kind of person?
I think kind of the like stereotypical idea, although just doing this research, I think some of the personality has shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think the stereotypical, I would be the right bank.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One way that helps me, if you've ever watched any Gossip Girl, Sabrina's left bank, Blair's right bank. Always kind of felt like. But okay, so then the Eiffel Tower. If you want to go to the Eiffel Tower, you can get tickets to go up to the top, and usually there's a long line, and sometimes it's difficult to get tickets.
Okay, keep going.
Wait, do you want to say?
I was just going to say, I'm so disappointed. I've never done it. When I've been to Paris, I've never been to the top of the
You've
Eiffel.
Never done it?
No.
I
stood under it
when
and
you
looked
were
up.
like when you were a teenager and y'all were going.
I didn't.
No, they didn't make that.
I think I was a lot of times I was walking around kind of separately with French friends, and they were like, we're not standing in line for the Eiffel Tower.
Tourist. I don't know how.
I think I was trying to pretend I wasn't a tourist.
Yes. Well,
and so I did not go to the top. And what a stupid thing.
Well, when next time you get back to Paris, you can either get your tickets and go up to the top, or you can make a reservation because there are 2 hotels inside. I mean, 2 hotels.
2 hotels. 2. Oh my man, that'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be.
It's not that.
Although
big.
I think I'd be a little bit afraid I'd be like electrocuted or something.
Exactly.
If I like stayed a whole night and with all those lights on.
It is not big enough to be
too electrical.
There are 2 restaurants, Madame Brasserie on the first floor and the Jules Verne on the second floor. And the Jules Verne is actually Michelin starred. So one, you don't pay as much money, and the other one, you pay all the money.
Yeah. Have you been to one of those restaurants?
No, but I have been to the top.
You went to the top.
I was a tourist.
You were
and I took a picture like hugging.
You weren't
the
trying
beam.
to pretend like you were French?
No. I knew I could never be that cool. Okay, so other highlights in the montage. We hit the Tuileries, the Moulin Rouge, the Champs-Elysees with that perfect shot down to the Arc de Triomphe. You got the Sacré-Cœur, you got Notre Dame, you got the left bank, the right bank. There's another beautiful shot of the Eiffel Tower, and you're sort of like up from it, and it's like a dead-end street. That is the Avenue de Camion. Camion? Sure. Camoens is in the 16th arrondissement. You go down to the end of that, and you've got a beautiful shot of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh,
go get your good
pretty.
background. Luxembourg Gardens, the famous stairs in Montmartre. That's Rue Fouetier.
And that is so beautiful.
There's also, which I thought was interesting, that Woody Allen included the Brasserie Fouquet on the Champs-Elysees. That's a famous restaurant. I
wonder if that had like meaning to him.
I think so.
Personally.
I think it has a sister restaurant in New York. So there might have been a connection there.
Yeah.
Obviously the Louvre, the Palais Garnier, Place Vendôme, where the Ritz is with the beautiful hotel.
Yeah. And lots of connections.
And then Pont Neuf.
Yeah.
So a lot of these you revisit, but and of course the movie begins and ends with Pont Alexander III.
Yeah.
Charming.
It's so charming.
And it's unique. So I think you can embrace
it's magical.
The beautiful and unique things that really sort of lend it that magic.
Yes. Oh, it's so magical. Well, when we have seen all the gorgeous sights, then we meet Gil and Inez. Gil, played by Owen Wilson. Inez, played by Rachel McAdams. I love that they say Inez. Instead
of Inez.
Inez. That's how we say it in the South. Inez. But I like the Inez. Yeah. But she doesn't live up to the beauty of her name. She's beautiful, but her personality is not very beautiful.
She looks great. I love all of her clothes.
Oh my gosh.
Even now, some of her stuff's pretty classic for being 2011.
It looks really good.
It still looks good.
Yeah, it does look good. And I love her hair. When I haven't watched this in a hot minute, and I went back and as we were watching it, that's the beachy waves. That's what I wanted for my last haircut. But I realized the last haircut I got, they made my hair look more like his hair, Owen Wilson's hair. Instead of getting it's growing out now.
Flippy.
It's growing out now.
Less beachy.
Yeah, but it wasn't. They didn't do it
Yeah.
Like the Beachy Waves, I look more like Gil Pinder.
Which is not
That's not what I'm
what
going
you
for.
asked for.
No. Anyway, side note, Woody Allen wrote the part of Gil with Owen Wilson in mind. He really thought Owen Wilson's kind of quirky personality would really lend itself well to this whimsical character that he was writing.
I mean, Woody Allen, not somebody whose personal life I want to investigate further.
No. I mean, it definitely seems like creepy.
But he'll come out with these. He has a few like really charming, sweet movies.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite.
Yes.
I think this is my favorite Woody Allen. It really does circle around the idea of nostalgia.
Which is like really interesting because you get all these like very central Paris shots and then it goes to the title. And then bam, you're with Gil and Inez Giovanni, which is Monet's house. It's outside of Paris. It's a great like place you could go. Like if you're staying in Paris, it's not so far away that you'd have to like go and stay somewhere. But like you can definitely visit it for like a day or a half day or something. And the gardens, obviously,
it's just incredible.
And they have the gardens. There's a flower garden, and the one with the water lilies was a Japanese garden that he constructed himself. I mean, he had like helpers and workers, but like he created there to be a pond and then wanted there to be a bridge, and he planted the oh my gosh, why am I totally blanking on the name of the flower? It's not a hydrangea.
The wisteria?
Wisteria, yes. Okay. He did the bridge and planted the wisteria and that kind of thing. So, it's kind of interesting that you jump out of Central Paris to meet Jill.
Jill. I know. I did too.
Gil.
Well, I think if you were Parisian, you would say Gilles. Gilles. Yeah, I would. I've never been to Monet's house either. I would love to do that. Then they go sightseeing with Paul and Carol. Paul, played by Michael Sheen, Rachel McAdams, and Michael Sheen fell in love and dated for like 2 years after this movie.
Oh, after this movie.
So
they really did have a little chemistry.
They did have chemistry, which you can tell in the movie. Michael Sheen plays the most annoying person. You just want to hit him. He's a know-it-all that doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
I don't know. I mean, I was trying to do some fact checking on him, and not everything he says is wrong. I mean, he's not always right.
Yeah.
But he's probably one of those people that's like 75% of the time he's right.
Yeah.
But then there's that like 25% he's still super confident about.
Yeah. But he's not right. And that drives.
And I think he's like really mean to his wife.
He's so mean. He ignores her all the time.
And all he does is like correct her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just watch him as he's walking and just talking. He just never stops talking.
Lecturing. He's not talking, he's lecturing.
Yeah. So they're going to go sightseeing, and what are they going to see? Where do they go?
Okay, so they first meet, we first meet Carol and Paul when Gil and Inez are eating with her parents, which is hilarious that basically her dad's bankrolling this whole trip. But they're at Le Grand Véthul. It's a very famous restaurant, apparently. It's near the Louvre in the Palais Royal.
Yeah.
And it features Louis XVI, like furnishings and stuff. So it's been around for a really long time. Like some of the garlands and like carvings in the restaurant have been there since, I think, Louis XVI. But it's Michelin star. It has 2 Michelin stars. Victor Hugo ate there. It's a very long standing restaurant.
Oh, wow. This is almost like a tour of Michelin star restaurants.
Woody Allen had some characters who love.
Woody Allen is bougie. He doesn't eat
okay, so let's talk about the bouginess. I mean, the last time watching this, I was like, okay, I think you could do a count on, what's the mom's name?
Helen.
On Helen's Birkins. Her Birkin bag game is strong. Girlfriend has like a different color Birkin bag for every outfit. I was like, that one's different and that one's different. Inez has one bag. I think it might be a Dior.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sack thing. But then she does, when they're at the rooftop, which we'll get to in just a second, they have, she has a Miss Dior bag,
Yes.
the little one that was named after Princess Diana.
Yeah.
But those are kind of her only things. So you could tell like the mom and the dad have the money.
Yeah.
And like Gil and Inez are like doing okay. But
Yeah.
they're not like as
Well,
rich.
he definitely seems to like poo-pooed spending his money on frivolous things, unlike Inez.
Okay, and then they go obviously to Versailles. Katie, do you like Versailles?
Oh my gosh.
We're laughing because I don't know.
Such a big obsession.
Katie.
Like on
loves Versailles.
On one of my trips, I bought this beautiful huge black hat on the Champs-Elysees. I wore that hat all over the place. There are pictures of me all over the place.
You were so glamorous. Now they're like those Instagrams or things where people are like, I just owed money for like a day. And people totally. I mean, that was Katie. 25 years ago.
That was so me. It was very Instagram worthy. I'm not anymore at all.
Not to be old money, but that like glamorous Audrey Hepburn. I dressed for the occasion.
I think it's all Audrey motivated.
Yeah. There was a very...
My love for Paris was first sparked by Audrey. And I cannot remember what started my love for Audrey when I was about 13 or 14 years old. I don't know. But after that, it was a love affair that has never ceased.
And her, we will circle back around one day to Audrey.
Yes. Oh yeah. And and yes, there's plenty of pictures in front of Versailles. We went on a trip one time, and I don't know if you were on this one. Mm-hmm. And a few of our friends, we all stayed in different French homes, and some of our friends stayed in Versailles. And I don't remember what the dad did. He did something with the government, and so they were in some apartments in just off of the main building, but they had snuck out one night and were opening doors, and they opened a door into one of the main parts. I think it was the Hall of Mirrors, but I'm not positive. But they opened the door, and then a security guard came, and they really, really got in trouble. It's not like they snuck through Versailles. They opened the personal apartment building, and a security guard was right there going, turn around, girls.
That's good to know. Even in the late 90s, they were.
Even in the late 90s, they were. But I've always been like, oh man, I wish I had stayed there. Why didn't I get to stay at Versailles?
Well, you can if you got some cash.
Oh, well, there you go.
There is a hotel. You can stay at the Ariel's Chateau de Versailles.
Okay, there you go.
Kind of entry-level rooms, about $2,500 per night. So, but you can live that dream. It's like it's like a hotel in one of the outer buildings, right? But you're still like in the complex.
Yeah. Oh man, that's tempting.
So
I don't know. What would you pick? To spend a night there for that amount of money, or spend the night at Buckingham Palace? Because that's about the same amount as a night you can spend at Buckingham Palace. What would you pick, Amy?
I don't know. I'd have to investigate what the night in Buckingham Palace, because this hotel looks quite beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the vibe over at Buckingham Palace? We'll have to investigate.
I don't know, but Buckingham Palace is not even a tenth as beautiful as Versailles. So I think I would pick Versailles, even though.
I think so. Here's a question we'll come to. Okay, so we'll keep this one. We'll keep track, because there's lots of hotel games in this movie.
So many I'd like to
we'll keep this one as the first one, Versailles, the Versailles Hotel.
Okay.
We won't try to keep mispronouncing it. We'll just call it the Versailles Hotel. So this is the first one. Then when we get to the end, we can decide which one we stay.
Okay. Number 1, Versailles Hotel.
Yes. All right. Paul is not completely wrong. It is 1682 when Louis XIV moved the court out there. But he starts name dropping all these people. And to be honest, I mean, there were lots of architects and garden designers.
Yeah.
And things.
Kate Winslet is like in that movie.
Yes,
there's like a movie with Kate Winslet. Yeah.
With Kate Winslet. And I don't know how accurate that is at all. But
yeah. No, I don't think very.
But, they go next. You really see them at the Rodin Museum. Musée Rodin. So this is back, obviously, in town, closer to the Eiffel Tower, near the Boulevard des Invalides.
This is where Paul argues with the tour guide.
Yes.
Like that's where you draw the line.
And
I
he
mean,
is wrong.
Don't
She is,
argue
of
with the
course,
tour guide.
Right. Rose was the wife, Camille the mistress.
Yes. Yeah.
But it looks like he married Rose like just for like the last year of his life. And so I think pretty much everybody was a mistress the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Rodin, beautiful museum. Absolutely. If you're like a museum person, you get overwhelmed and you're thinking the Louvre would just be like shut you down, go to Musée Rodin. It's just gorgeous. It has like this beautiful courtyard, the like mini chateau it's in. It's just beautiful. A lot of beautiful sculptures. You've got the Thinker, the Kiss, and then his like most famous work, The Gates of Hell. So beautiful bronze sculptures. Some of them are in marble. He kind of worked in both. But it's absolutely beautiful. All right. And so then from there, the last kind of in this like tour to Paris with Paul and Carol, and as mentioned that they're going to have the wine tasting. So the wine tasting is on the rooftop terrace at Le Maurice. And the Maurice is one of the Dorchester collection of hotels. The Dorchester in London is obviously part of it. But it's right across from the Tuileries on the Rue de Rivoli. And the rooftop terrace is part of the Belle Étoile penthouse that you can rent for about $30,000 a night.
Have mercy on my soul. So you have to you have to rent the penthouse to get to go on the roof. It's not like a rooftop bar on top of Le Maurice.
It's like this is sort of implying, I don't know if this is a thing, impossible, like if a company could have like a reception out there or something, and then you could just have for the one night, you could have access to the terrace. But no, if you're like just a regular old guest and anything lower than the penthouse, you're not getting up there. And you're certainly not getting up there if you're just a little plebe who's just walking around on the streets.
No.
Hilarious. I've actually been, though, to Le Maurice. I had a drink in their hotel bar 228.
Oh.
I had a little champagne cocktail.
I'm sure the bottom is just as fancy
the whole
as
thing.
the top.
The whole thing is just gorgeous. Le Maurice is absolutely stunning.
Did you have Moet at Le Maurice?
I don't know what it was because we didn't actually get like just champagne.
Yeah.
It was like a cocktail thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that is a fun memory. From Paris was being like, let's go to Le Maurice.
Let's go to Le Maurice.
Lots of famous people have stayed at Le Maurice. It's beautiful.
All right, there's hotel number 2.
Hotel number 2. The hotel they're staying in, Le Bristol and Le Maurice, are only like 15-minute walk. But when Gil leaves, he is going in the opposite direction he needs to.
He's just wandering.
He's so
wandering. Like she says all throughout he just likes to walk and think. I don't know. She's horrified by him. He wants to walk in Paris in the rain. The rain. She cannot get I think it's one of the first things she says in the movie. Like, why does it have to be raining?
Can you picture how drop-dead gorgeous this city is in the rain? Imagine this town in the 20s, Paris in the 20s. In the rain, the artists and writers.
Why does every city have to be in the rain? What's wonderful about getting wet?
I mean, could you ever picture us maybe moving here after we're married?
Oh, God, no.
What's special about rain? Come on, Inez.
Which is so funny. She's so not romantic.
She is so not romantic. No. But yeah, so he wanders and he gets lost in the Latin Quarter. And at the stroke of midnight, an old, and how do I say this?
Peugeot.
Yeah.
I
think so too.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be the one that said it. So you said it.
I'll just say all the things and get people can correct me later.
An old Peugeot Type 176 pulls up, and Gil is invited to a party. They restored this old car and just made it is so fun. But the way that we live now, we do use so many vintage things that it doesn't look out of place pulling up in a modern Paris. I don't think.
I mean, it could be like somebody's wedding
yeah,
reception.
yeah,
Or something.
yeah. I mean, absolutely. So it's like, yeah, of course. And then he gets in, and there's people who are all fancy, and of course, yes, people dress fancy in Paris.
He is drunk.
He is kind of drunk, but we wear those styles. A lot of people will wear like sequin dresses, and people wear things in their hair. And so it just doesn't really look, it's not like you immediately look at it and think, there's something odd here. Happen.
And I think, I mean, obviously it's magic.
It is magic.
There's no explanation. I kind of like that Woody Allen doesn't even try.
No, there's no.
Maybe the striking of the bells at the church, but I mean, no.
Yeah, he's time traveling. It's magic. It doesn't matter.
And I kind of don't care.
Why? Yeah. Yes, there's no explanation as to why. He never asks why.
No.
Nope. Yeah. Marianne Cotillard doesn't ask why when they get transported even
like,
further
cool,
back.
Yeah.
I know, they're just like, okay.
I mean, he is confused, but it's not like, now
He's
I have to figure out how time travel works.
Yeah, no,
we
it's
don't
just
waste
like,
any time on that, and I like it.
Well, yeah, he gets to the hotel, and I'll let you say what hotel that is, but they get to the hotel, and it's a party, and then he meets Zelda and F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I love Alison Pill as Zelda, and Scott Fitzgerald as Tom Hiddleston. I almost said Tom Hiddleswift. That's what I still call him. His smush name with Taylor Swift. I've always thought was so funny. Tom Hiddleswift.
This is pre Hiddleswift.
This is pre Hiddleswift
like
days.
Summer of, we're not quite sure what was happening.
I know, very strange, very odd, but I love that. I still call him Tom. So I had to think for a second. Wait, what's his actual name? Yeah. Tom Hiddleswift. Tom Hiddleston, who just had a baby.
Aww,
cute pictures,
so
of him and his little family. And they meet the Fitzgerald, and then they go and they meet Ernest Hemingway. And so this is his first interactions with the lost generation.
His literary heroes.
His literary heroes.
Okay.
So where are they for this party?
Hemingway or Fitzgerald?
Oh. I mean, I really wasn't ever into Hemingway that much until we went to Bimini, and I read a book. It's so great. You should read it. It's called Hemingway in Bimini. It's a very obvious title, and it's just reading about all the amazing things that he did as far as actual scientific projects and research he would do, and funding different research and marine, what he did for, helping marine biologists. And it wasn't just the sports fishing, but how meticulous they were with the sports fishing. And just, I don't know, he was so much more thoughtful and researched and scientific, which was a total surprise to me. I did not realize that was a part of Hemingway at all.
No,
and that really kind of made me fall in love with Hemingway. I mean, he was a crazy maniac. They were both crazy maniacs, but I think Hemingway is who I would want to meet. I think I would be more entertained meeting Hemingway because I think Scott Fitzgerald, anytime after this period, he would just be moody and depressed and not that much fun to be around.
Well, so was Hemingway sometimes. But.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I might want to and just all these interesting things about him and Bimini and how he really did bond with people on the island, and people love telling stories about they knew Hemingway and they did this with Hemingway.
So you would want to meet Ernest Hemingway on Bimini in the 40s?
Yeah, well, 50s? He discovered it in 35, so the late 30s. Yeah, I would want to meet him in the late 30s at Bimini.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I agree.
That's oddly specific.
I think I would still rather meet, I think I would rather meet Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
Because he is complicated and there's a lot there. But yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Scott Fitzgerald, obviously we love The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
It's just a great
which
novel.
Is interesting. It wasn't received very well, and what's interesting to me is that especially Fitzgerald, but Hemingway too. It's like they wrote things about the extravagant lifestyle and the bad things it would do to you, but then they lived that way. It's almost like I don't know, it's like they could see how bad it was, but then they couldn't change, especially Scott Fitzgerald. He couldn't, he wrote about how it would destroy you, but then that's how he lived and it destroyed him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so odd.
Like they didn't quite, they could diagnose the issue, but they couldn't like prescribe it.
Yeah, it was like this
help.
is just how it is.
Which, kind of, I mean, I guess that's part of what gave them the moniker, The Lost Generation.
Yeah.
Which,
Corey Stoll was Hemingway, and he was just fantastic.
I think he does a pretty good job. I mean, I listened to a audiobook of Ernest Hemingway reading his own. He wrote about Africa. It was a nonfiction book about his hunting in Africa, which whole other issue.
Well, but you do have to judge things based on the time they were in.
His voice, like I think he captures the voice, but okay, I think we can acknowledge that the movie I don't think is really about these characters. Like I don't think it's really meant to or supposed to like dig deep into well, who was Scott Fitzgerald and what are the many layers of Ernest Hemingway? I mean, it's not about that. It's about Gil realizing that he can't live in the past.
Well, and it's like everything is a idealized version of it. So Gil's idealized. So Hemingway, of course, is very manly and always making these very short, strong statements. And Fitzgerald is mooning over Zelda and drunk. And, I mix this wine with this beer and and Zelda is like, and trying to jump off a bridge and stuff. And so it's like they are all characters. Of themselves.
Of the real people.
Yeah.
Which is maybe what, I think it fits with the idea of Gil idealizing this time period. And that that they would be just these like I guess shallower versions of who they obviously probably were. And that the film isn't meant to further unpack the Lost Generation. It's more focused on Gil.
So where are they in this party scene? And
okay, so he is in the Latin Quarter, like you mentioned. So he goes pretty far from the hotel. He's pretty lost. But he ends up not too far from the Luxembourg Gardens, which again, so we are down on the left bank. And he's on the steps of Saint-Étienne-du-Mont. It's next to the Pantheon, and it's on Rue de la Montagne, Saint-Geneviève. I don't know.
I'm going to let you say it.
Oh, my French is struggling today. But it's these beautiful steps of this church. And you can go and sit, and the car that pulls up, it's like this curve. And so it's on the street. So it's a very beautiful area. But they end up in the one that's probably the most interesting for viewers and where they were filming things is Le Polidor, is where he actually meets Hemingway. And it's the oldest bistro, one of the oldest bistros in Paris. So it opened as a cheese store and restaurant in 1845.
Sounds delicious.
I guess the cheese store did not do as well as the restaurant because in 1890 they closed the cheese down and they stuck with the restaurant.
How could the cheese not be successful?
And it has kept going ever since. So you can go and have dinner.
It's the same restaurant, same name and everything. That's
Le
impressive.
Polidor. And it's on 41 Rue Monsieur le Prince. And Hemingway actually mentions it in his Paris work that was published posthumously, but A Movable Feast.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he talks about having dinner there and things like that. So you can go and have dinner where they not only film Midnight in Paris, but actual James
One is
Joyce
the actual same restaurant.
Hemingway and all of them. Okay, so obviously he has a very transformative experience here.
Yeah.
And he wakes up the next morning.
Yeah. And the morning after, he tries to tell Inez everything, and she's just she's so indifferent to him.
Tumor.
Yeah, she says, your brain tumor is acting up.
If I was to tell you that I spent last night with Ernest Hemingway and Scott Fitzgerald, what would you say?
Is that what you were dreaming about, your literary idols?
Yeah, but if I wasn't dreaming,
What does that mean?
if I was with Hemingway and Fitzgerald,
I'd be thinking brain tumor.
But then, so that night he gets his script and he's going to go give it to him to meet Gertrude Stein, who's played by Kathy Bates. And
I really like her.
do you like her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I like
she does a
Kathy
good job. I wouldn't choose to read Gertrude Stein
Yeah.
over some other things, but she definitely 100% was like the mama to all these lost generation people and collected them around her and
Her salon.
in her salon. And yes, she loved to discover new artists. She discovered Picasso and made him famous. And she kind of, once she discovered someone and helped make them famous, then she kind of lost interest and wanted to go discover a new talent. So yeah, it definitely plays that she would have really enjoyed meeting Gil and reading his work. She was definitely a huge influence over Hemingway. His work was 100% transformed because of Gertrude Stein. She taught him discipline. He respected her so much that he would actually listen to what she had to say. And she would get, and she is the one who coined the phrase "the lost generation" for all these, individuals that had gathered around her. And
Which I think it's a neat, one of those, again, moments in time that where you had a group. I think those are so fascinating to me. When
They're
you
really
have
fascinating.
Groups of people who come together and will be further pushed along in their art by each other, and how like certain movements come up, and then like there's a group of friends, and
they're a group of friends
then become famous.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most interesting things that you can
It is.
do like a really deep dive study on.
Yeah. Well, and you meet Picasso and Picasso's girlfriend, Adriana, played by Marianne Cotillard. Am I saying that right?
Well, as the authority, yes.
I think I am. I'm trying to say it her way and the French way. And she's kind of representing all of his different mistresses. What do you think? This is a big question. What do you think of Picasso's art?
I am not a huge fan.
Yeah. Like,
I think, well, okay, so if you put me in a museum and you were like, you got 30 minutes and there's a lot of work to see. He's not, I'm not rushing.
No.
To go see his stuff. Although, again, I can always appreciate that.
I'm not a big fan of the art as much as I am of the music. The music to me is just amazing. It's so fantastic. Cole Porter is the main person they highlight. Cole Porter was also there in Paris during meeting all these people. He was a part of that Lost Generation group at Gertrude Stein's. He wrote his first, his first hit on Broadway was in 1928 called Paris.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so he goes back to his time period, and he and Paul get in a little battle over the right history, which Gil knows now because he was there talking to him.
Pablo met her, Picasso. Of course, what you don't get from this portrait is the subtlety in her beauty. She was just a knockout.
What have you been smoking?
Okay, so where are they for these?
Okay,
different
so
little
they,
scenes?
so when he goes back into present time, he goes to the Marché aux Puces de Saint-Ouen, north of Paris, not too far, but it's the largest antiques and secondhand market in the world, and it's like massive, huge, tons of like different stalls and different areas that you can go shopping in. But yeah, when they actually go to the market, so this is when he runs into Gabrielle that he meets later,
played by Leah Seydoux.
Yeah,
and she's so beautiful.
Yeah,
and very French.
And so it's pretty easy to get there if you want to go antique shopping. Which why not? It's fabulous.
If I had the money to antique shop in Paris, I would definitely do it.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
Yeah, it would be wonderful.
And then he has a spat with Paul at the Musée de Lingerie. And so the Orangerie is in the like southwest corner of the Tuileries. And it is a stunning museum. Again, if museums overwhelm you, I would go to Musée Rodin and I would go to the Lingerie because it's smaller. It has a lot of Impressionist and Post-Impressionist artwork. And then it has the beautiful Monet water lilies, which he was asked to redo the inside in like the early 1920s or something. And he created these paintings for the space. So it like kind of curves.
Really?
Yeah, and the paintings like curve with it. It's like several panels that like curve with the structure. So it like he was commissioned to do them for and it's his
my goodness.
for the space. And so it's the famous water lilies. And they're massive, they're big. I mean, you can see it when they're standing next to them.
I didn't realize it was
It's
a commission
massive.
for this Musée de Lingerie.
And then, of course, the last kind of scene in that little time period, really when it's like, Inez isn't up to no good. She's having dinner with her parents and Gil's not there, and she's dressed just a little slinky in her black V-neck.
Oh, she's
dress.
definitely dressed slinky. Yeah.
Then they're at the restaurant at La Bristol. But then after that, of course, I do love this cut that they do where the mom's like, the dad talks about how, of course, he has hired the detective. And then the mom's like, well, we know one thing. He doesn't go dancing. And then it cuts and he's dancing. I think it's hilarious. I think it's like
the Fitzgerald's party.
He looks so goofy.
He looks so goofy.
Yeah.
It is hysterical.
But I think it's so funny.
Yeah, we're back in the 20s. She's going to go out with Paul in modern time, and he's in the 20s dancing at the Fitzgerald's party and
loving Adriana.
Which who wouldn't love Adriana? I mean,
obviously everybody fell in love with
Cotillard
her.
is gosh, she is so gorgeous. And they go for a walk through Paris.
Which
and
I love her dress.
Yes.
Okay, so you meet her when
her
she has
clothes
on
are
like a
so
black
gorgeous.
dress with a sparkle in front. And then she has the white one, which has the red piping.
Yeah.
And the whole pleat. And then she's in the gold one that's like all sequins. Which one do you think you would want to be able to take home with you if you were Marion Cotillard and you got to take home your wardrobe?
Ooh, all of them. Maybe the gold one.
For sure. I mean, for sure, that one's beautiful. I think I might say the white one.
The white one.
I feel like you could almost maybe get away with actually wearing that in real life.
I think you could get away with wearing any of these in real life. We're like in the time period where you can wear clothes from any time period. I think that's what style of dressing we have.
You'd have to be super dressed up.
Like a really fancy party.
Yeah.
A really fancy party. We are the in
so
these
when
scenes.
he sees Adriana again, they're at a museum. It's a fairground museum where they have these old rides, and so she
It's a
actually takes
fairground
him to
museum.
Yes, you can actually go
so cool
and see the old like fairground like rides and things that they have on display. And there really is one, the bicycle carousel that she takes him to that was a belly pop. So like from the late 19th century.
Wow.
Little carousel thing. So yeah, you can go and actually see them. It's in the 12th. It's the Fairground Museum. It's Le Pavillon de Bercy in the 12th arrondissement, which is like east of Gare de Lyon. So you're like pretty east from even.
Yeah.
And then of course, like you mentioned, Pont Neuf, where Zelda is trying to
throw herself into the
done
sun.
herself, and he has a pill of the future.
A pill of the future.
The Valium.
Here's a Valium.
But Pont Neuf is very famous because it was the first bridge that crossed and spanned the Seine, and so it goes over.
Oh, I didn't realize the Pont Neuf was the first one.
So it's it's the very first one is the oldest. 1607 is when they first started to have a completed structure go across the Seine, which is amazing. I mean, but yeah, it's on the island where like Notre Dame is and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. So I love this garden on the backside of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the sweetest, like just calm, at least my memory of it. Maybe I was there at a very particular time, but I just remember it was like calm and beautiful and peaceful, and there's like benches and you can go sit back there, and yeah, it's just a really neat place to go because it feels a little bit tucked away. Did you ever go back behind there?
Yeah. I think the crowds are so much in the front. It seems like it is a little bit quieter back there.
But not everybody sort of walks back around, but
Yeah.
absolutely walk around the structure and go to the garden in the back.
Yeah. Well, side note, if you like, sitting in parks like the Luxembourg Park, in Midnight in Paris, they have a taxidermy shop that they're filming in. I can't remember what scene it is, but
the Devereux taxidermy shop.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. You can order chairs like the ones they have in the parks that you sit in and have them shipped to the U.S. So,
from the taxidermy shop?
From the taxidermy shop. It's on their website. So the Devereux at 46 Rue du Bac in Paris, you can order Parisian park chairs.
That is so funny.
And have them shipped to you.
Well, how fun.
I know.
If you just have a brief moment of insanity buying.
Well, I want them.
Chairs.
Man, I want them so bad after reading that.
Paris.
That's one of those items that you're like, I must have a Parisian park chair.
How much do they cost?
I don't know. I haven't been to the website yet.
Oh, well, that's good. Don't even tempt yourself.
I know.
Because there's no
I will
way
so want that.
So one of a scene that I think is hilarious, but also slightly annoying is they're at La Bristol because the hotel, because of course Gil has taken Inez's earrings, and I love her. Like she notices immediately, and they use the panoramic suite for filming.
For filming Inez and Gil's
room.
suite.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the
It looks very
production
fancy.
company actually like stayed in this hotel. I think Woody Allen actually stayed in the hotel. And then Epicure's the dinner that Inez is having with her parents when they like talk about how they sent the detective. And I love that because like a Parisian person has a dog. And the dad's like, totally breached out, but there's a dog.
Yeah, the dog is so funny. And
okay, so that really is our last hotel, though. So we had the Versailles Hotel, Le Maurice, and the Bristol. Which one would you want to stay in?
I mean, the Versailles Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many amazing hotels in Paris. I mean, I would enjoy staying at any of them if they were offered to me.
Absolutely.
Sponsor.
Okay,
I think the
Bristol.
Yeah.
I think I would stay there. I think I would like. I mean, Le Maurice is beautiful, but I think I would stay at the Bristol. It's part of the. I don't know if I'm going to get this one right. The Haute collection of hotels. One of theirs is the Lanesborough, and they have a beautiful in London, and then they have a beautiful hotel in Capri.
Yeah. Like, ooh, that one sounds nice.
I know. So I think I might choose that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes back in time, and he does buy more earrings, and he is trying to basically seduce Adriana. But they get pulled back into her favorite time period, La Belle Epoque, which does look very beautiful. And the costumes are very beautiful, and they're only there for just a little bit, and they are at Maxime's. So tell us where they are in this scene.
Okay, so they start out at, you mentioned Devereux, the taxidermy shop, which again you can go to, which is wild.
Yeah, and order your Parisian park
so
chairs.
Much taxidermy in that scene. But then they leave and they go to a restaurant called Restaurant Paul on the Ile de la Cité. Not to be confused, because there's a chain called Paul, all capitals, Paul's Bakery, Paul, all caps. Lots of those all across the city. They're in places all over the world. This is not that. This is restaurant Paul. But that's where they go and just sit. Well, when she puts on the earrings
Yeah.
and the carriage rolls up.
Yeah.
It's a cute little restaurant you can go to. And then, yes, they take them to Maxime's, which is just north of the Place de la Concorde. It's not far from Place Vendôme. And it's a classic Parisian restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah. It was completed in 1900 and as a symbol of Art Nouveau. Yeah.
So she wasn't wrong. It was where everybody was hanging out. But they don't stay there. They actually go over, which I was like, okay, watching it back now, I like for him to enter the 1920s wearing what he's wearing, because men's fashion doesn't really change all that much. Like he stands out, not that bad. But when she walks into Maxime's and she's got her short skirt on,
I know.
and nobody's noticing anything. Again,
well, the waitress,
don't
the
ask
hostess
questions.
says something to her. What
She
did she
does?
say? She but it's like, oh, very daring or something like that. Like,
oh, I missed that.
like for a split second, the hostess acknowledges, but it's not like, what are you wearing? Get out. It's like, oh, very daring. Like, oh, look at you.
But she is
But
quite differently
she
dressed.
is so differently dressed. Yeah, his suits can blend so much better, even in that period, than the women's clothes. Yeah.
Well, they go to Moulin Rouge, and of course the Can-Can.
Yeah.
I love this moment. I love this scene because I love it when I just think Owen Wilson's like so Woody Allen and so funny when he's like, I'm having an insight. It's a small one.
Wait, I'm having an insight.
But like he's like, they don't have antibiotics.
I know. It's like one of the best lines, and you're like, oh, right.
Ooh, I think we crossed a line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went a little too far for him.
Yeah, he has his big insight. Not an epiphany, an insight.
And those guys probably imagined life was a lot better when Kubla Khan was around. I'm having an insight now. It's a minor one, but it explains the anxiety, my dream that I had. I had a dream the other night where it was like a nightmare where I ran out of Zithromax, and then I went to see the dentist, and he didn't have any Novocaine. You see what I'm saying? These people don't have any antibiotics.
So understated, but yeah, they don't have antibiotics, and all of a sudden it's like the nostalgia falls away, and he's like,
of like the idea of actually being like stuck in 1890.
Yes.
Is like, no.
Yeah. Well, and that's where Woody Allen's really his genius of storytelling comes into play, because the theme is nostalgia and the role it plays in our lives, and he carries it from start to finish. It's a short little movie, and he makes his point very well all the way to the end, and the end is really good with that epiphany that Owen Wilson has. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you really could set it anywhere else except Paris, because so much of Paris is you, again, as we mentioned, idealize Paris because it almost feels like it was stuck in time because of the way we've mentioned them a couple here where there are like actual restaurants you can go to.
Yeah, and you can I think that's why I love London too. Cole Porter wrote that song, I Love Paris, and I've loved that song ever since I first went to Paris. I love Paris in the springtime. I just love that song, and it's a perfect song.
It's a perfect
little homage to
and it was the perfect setting for film on nostalgia. So that brings me to my question. What time period, and doesn't necessarily have to be Paris, but where and when would you want to go and visit?
Maybe England in Edwardian times. If I was a lady of the manor, if I had money and I was the queen of the house, I could deal with that, because you've got some modern things going on. Yeah, like the time period right before Downton Abbey starts.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think that'd be really beautiful, but only if you're the upstairs people.
You wouldn't want to go be Anna?
No. Yeah. I wouldn't want to go be the chambermaid. So if I was going to be the chambermaid, no, thank you. That is marked off.
You wouldn't want to be like shoveling the ashes in the fire?
No. But if I was the person laying in the bed, having the ashes shoveled for them.
Lady Mary.
I would love to be Lady Mary.
It does sound
Well,
like
and she's always riding her horse, and she's got fantastic clothes.
she
And
seems like so over it, but I mean, Lady Mary.
yeah,
You don't really know how good you have it.
yeah. Which in that time period before World War One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe more like Cora when Cora's younger and she's becoming the
Yeah.
mistress of Downton Abbey. Yeah, that's me. What about you?
Okay, this one is so weird.
I think everything we say is kind of weird. Amy. Rank us as weird.
So weird. But I would love to go to London during the Blitz.
Well, that came into my mind too, but
Isn't that
I
so
was like,
weird?
I don't know if I want to say that.
I know. But I
Yeah,
just think
I
it'd
would
be such
do
an
that.
interesting time.
I know.
Right before.
As long as you knew you weren't going to get bombed.
Yes. As if I could go.
Yeah.
Like in
If
Back
you
to the
knew,
Future
if I
or
knew
something,
I
and
wasn't a
had
chain
the
mermaid, you knew you
and I
weren't
had
going to
the
be bombed.
almanac or something.
Yeah.
I could like guarantee I knew what was happening when.
Yeah.
I could avoid it.
There you go.
Yeah. Go in like 1935 or something.
Yeah.
Stay to 45. I
Yeah,
would do those 10 years in London.
I know. And there's something like that. It's such a hardship era.
It is.
But
Which why I think, and especially after watching this again, it's like, okay, I say that, but obviously I know that it actually was really hard.
yeah,
I think, yeah, I just think it would be really neat to have gotten to see
yeah,
some of
it
them.
would.
Okay, so then obviously he is choosing the present.
Yeah, he comes back to the present. He breaks up with Inez. Yeah. And then he goes and they have him walking out of the Shakespeare and Company bookshop, and that was one of the first places Hemingway discovered, and that kind of became another hub, like Gertrude Stein's place. And then he is walking on one of the bridges, and he runs into Gabrielle, and so they have it rain, of course. And so it's just perfect because he's like, oops, it started raining. I'm sorry. And she's like, what do you mean? Paris is the most beautiful in the rain. He's like, this is my person forever. But where are they, Amy?
The Pont Alexander III, back where we started.
There we
The
go.
very beginning.
Can I walk with you, or I'll buy you a cup of coffee, or okay, now it's starting to rain.
That's okay. I don't mind getting wet.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, Paris is the most beautiful in the rain.
I feel like that's what I'm always saying. I couldn't agree more with you.
But yeah, Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris. Yeah.
Love it. I think.
Love it.
Okay, if I was going and I wanted to do like a very particular Midnight in Paris, I would try to go to, I mean, of course, if I could stay
The Midnight in Paris tour.
at any of the hotels, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't do that, I would try to go to some of the restaurants. So I would go to the Polydor.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it wrong, so I'm going to like scroll back to it. The Le Grand Viful, the 2 Michelin star.
Yeah.
I think I would be able to do that.
I think I'd be able to do that. Of course, you'd be able to do that.
I think I
This
would
is the
splurge
Midnight in
for that.
Paris
It was the Midnight in
tour.
Paris.
So
And I would love to
we're
go,
not talking about money wise here.
I would love to go see the steps where he gets picked up,
Yeah.
the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
So I think those would be my top 3. So maybe I would do the Polydor, the steps where he gets picked up, and Le Grand Viful.
I would definitely love to go see Monet's
go to
house where they are at the beginning. Yeah.
Giverny.
Yeah, because I've never been there before. I'd really like to go there. Yeah. And I'd like to order those Parisian park chairs.
So there you go. Watch Midnight in Paris and get on and order your Parisian
Yeah, from the taxidermy shop.
park chairs.
Yeah. And that's it for Set Jetting Sisters. We will see you next time. check us out at all of the different social sites, YouTube, Insta, TikTok, if they don't ban it, at Set Jetting Sisters. Goodbye.